To be Wiccan is a way of life. And it's time we learned how. Join the Scarlett Witch on a journey into magic and learn the true meaning of witchcraft as we enter the Witch's Closet with Scarlett Witch.
Hello, good evening. Oh dear, right, how are you all? I've got my drink. I'm not I've gone for Pepsi.
Strong. So just waiting for Ben to share it out, because he's going to share it. So although it goes live on the page automatically, It doesn't go live to the group, and the group's got quite a few more members on it. So Ben's just sharing that out for us now.
Cool.
Oh yeah.
Un momento.
Oh, Damon says it's all shared. Did you share it to the group, Damon? Is that what you mean?
Hi, Irene.
But yeah, you see people's comments coming up.
Yeah,
there.
I can see them.
Yeah, if you press on them, they'll show. There you go.
There
and then
we
you
go.
just press on it again to get rid of it.
I don't know what I was worried about. This technology malarkey is quite simple, actually, isn't it?
Yeah.
She says. So, good evening, Michaela. Good evening, Vaughn. Hi, Irene. Okay. Right, I think we're good to get started. Yeah, okay.
Yep.
So, thank you everybody for joining me. I'm Scarlett Witch. I have been practicing Wicca and witchcraft for many years. Quick disclaimer before we go into the show. Obviously, everything that I have learned is things that I have learned from my path, my own research, my own knowledge and what have you that I've obtained. It isn't what everybody will follow. So it is very much guidance. And I do encourage anybody who is looking to go into the path to do their own research and what have you. But this is just the basics. This first episode is going to be the history of Wicca. Hi, Yvonne, where it originated from, because not many people know that. So yeah, so please just be respectful. If there are things that you might not agree with, that's absolutely fine. We all do things differently, especially when it comes to the craft, when it comes to magic. Everybody does things in their own way, and we'll go into that over the course of over the weeks. So what is Wicca? So Wicca is the largest of the modern pagan or neo-pagan religions. It is a nature-based religion. Everything we do revolves around nature. So all of our spell works, everything that we follow, the way that we live our life is all centered around nature, including all the Sabbats and things like that we'll go into. Jeanette's saying she can't hear anything. Can you hear me, Lou?
I can hear you fine. Ben?
Can anybody else not hear me?
Is everybody else here? Ben, do you want to shoot up in the other room and just see if you can hear? Send him running.
Yes,
yeah. Go on.
Yeah, Damon said he can hear me. So.
Right, Jeanette, just try coming back out a bit and coming back on. And yeah, you've got a good group of people watching. You'll be fine.
Okay. So yeah, so as I was saying, Wicca is one of the largest of the modern pagan or neo-pagan religions, as they're called. Those who follow it call themselves Wiccans. They typically identify as witches. It is important to remember that not all witches are Wiccan. Wicca itself is a religion, and there are some witches who don't associate with Wicca at all, and that's completely fine. It's fine to respect that as well. Now, the predominant part of Wicca is we follow something called the Wiccan Raid. And part of that is the threefold law. That's a very big part of Wiccan association. So anything that we give out will come back to us 3 times, whether that's good or bad, and that's what we believe in. So I'll touch on that a little bit later. But first of all, so go back in time a little bit. Now, in the 1950s, there was a gentleman called Gerald Gardner. I think his full name was Gerald Rosio. I can't pronounce names very well, but it was Gerald Rosio Gardner. And although he was the founder of Wicca, there was others who were also involved in creating this religion. And it was based on the pre-Christian pagan beliefs, traditions, folklore that he came about to, to create Wicca. He drew inspiration largely from the pre-Christian beliefs and the pagan origins. So although the actual Wicca religion itself is a relatively new religion, all the traditions and what it's based off is centuries old. So Gerald Gardner, if anyone knows anything about him, he was known as quite an eccentric character. Very eccentric if you look into his history.
There's a documentary, and they're on the YouTube that another guy's done about him.
Yes, there's quite a few on Prime as well. I think he was very eccentric, but he's an interesting character to read up on. Because of that, and because of that view that people had of him, who knew him quite well, it took a while for people to understand his mission and what it was all about. So Wicca is now found primarily in Western countries. It's quite big, well, it's very big over in America and England, where it was founded. Now, although there were precursors to the movement, the origins trace back to Gerald Gardner. And he spent most of his career or time in Asia. He travelled a lot, and he became familiar with a lot of different indigenous religions, cultures, folklore, the beliefs. And he also studied the teachings of Aleister Crowley as well, who was an occultist. So he did a lot of research into that as well.
We know of him.
Yes. He's quite a well-known character. So yeah, when Gerald returned to Britain in the 1930s, he brought all of his findings with him, and he came across a New Forest coven of witches, and it's that where we were told by him that he got a lot of his knowledge from, where it comes to the witchcraft side of things. So it was a coven in the New Forest witches who taught him a lot of the witchcraft aspect of the culture and the life. So following in 1951, where it was the repeal of Britain's archaic witchcraft laws. So if anybody doesn't know, in 1951, they sort of cancelled all of the witchcraft laws. So up until that point, you could actually had the death penalty for being found to be using or doing anything with witchcraft. So once that law was abolished and banned, he became his mission then to kind of push it out there and to teach more about it. Because until that point, a lot of people had to do their practice quietly, quite hidden. And in 1954, he published his Witchcraft Today, which was like a magazine type document, but because it was obviously made legal then, he was okay to do that, and that stirred up a lot of movement from people who were interested in that sort of line of the occult, I suppose, and witchcraft and what have you. So he founded his first coven of followers, and he had an assistance from a high priestess. Her name was Doreen Valiente. She passed in 1999, and they developed what we now know as Wicca. There are different types of Wicca. So you've got Gardnerian Wicca, which is following pretty much Gerald Gardner's laws and rules. But then Wicca is also an umbrella term. So there are quite a few people who won't follow the Gardnerian tradition. They will just take it how they want. And that's what's fantastic about Wicca. You can tailor it to suit you. As long as you follow the main law, which is Anye Harm None, do what you will. It is absolutely fine, which is why you find a lot of Wiccans generally, I don't speak for myself here, are vegan because they take that law quite seriously with not harming anything. And that leads on to the fact that we don't really call magic black magic and white magic. We call it the left-hand path and the right-hand path. The right-hand path being good magic, and the left-hand path being more of the darker magic, shall we say. Yeah. So most Wiccans do follow the right-hand path on being the good, because we are so conscious of the threefold law coming back to us. But that's not to say that you won't come across witches who don't follow that law. So they will dabble in all sorts of magic, and that's absolutely fine as well. That's up to them. Wicca then...
Stop pointing at me! Yeah, I don't follow the threefold rule.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely fine.
Because I'm not a Wiccan. But
yeah.
I respect those that do follow it.
Yeah.
Everyone's got, like you say, everyone's got their own path.
Exactly. And that's what's quite, magical about witchcraft and magic in general. There is no set and hard rules that you have to follow. There's no governing body or anybody that's, telling us what to do and how we should live our life. And that's what makes it so magical, that you can pretty much tailor it to how you want to live your life. There are some Wiccans who will dabble in sort of the grey area, and I think a lot of magic, to be honest, if you think about it, is quite a grey area anyway.
Yeah.
It kind of
being a pain now. I reside in the grey area. Yeah, but I'm more good than the darker stuff. Yeah.
Okay, so didn't Gerald Gardner have a pet monkey? I did hear. I don't know how true that is, obviously.
I heard that as well.
Yes. Yeah. I think it was a documentary.
It was kind of the done thing, kind of for eccentric people back in them days, wasn't it? You go travelling the continent in Africa and you come back with a pet monkey.
Yeah. Just sitting on the airplane in first class. That's it. That's the way. Yes, I don't know how accurate that is, but that is something that travelled through the grapevine as a possibility. I do know he was into skyclad, as we call it in the witchcraft world, being the nudist camps and stuff like that. He was into all of that, so that's a strong possibility. I don't know, maybe he did have a pet monkey, who knows. Let's have a look. Tim says they used to dunk you to test if you was a witch. They did. There was numerous tests and torture ways that they did to test if somebody was a witch, all of which didn't have, pardon the pun, all of which didn't have a good outcome, whether you're a witch or not. It was, if you floated, you were made of wood, so you was a witch and you were killed anyway. So quite a shame, really. Let's have a look. Good evening, Annette. Wandering Willow, I'm pretty grey too when needed. Yeah, that's a lot of us are. Right, let's hide that comment. So I've got my bullet points because I lose track and I do digress, so I have to be reined back in sometimes. Right. Yes, so Wicca then, once it got established over in the UK, in Britain, it started to make its way over to America, which is why it is so big in America. And I believe in America, it is actually classed as a legitimate religion over there. It has been recognised as a religion over there. So there are certain states that during the Sabbaths, if the children are Wiccan, they're allowed to have those days off. That isn't the case over here at the minute, which is a shame, but we shan't go into that.
From a revolution.
From so from the Gerald Gardnerian Wicca, once it got to America, it started to branch out, and you see the different variations of Wicca come about. So then we had the Dianic Wiccan, and they had their basis of very feminine movements based off feminism. And a lot of their covens were purely female only. They did mostly concentrate on the goddess side of the aspect of Wicca. And again, that's absolutely fine. So during the religion's first 2 decades, Most people who joined Wicca, it was through Gerald Gardner, and it was initiated into covens. After, I think it was the 1970s, there was more of a growing movement. It was starting to become quite a thing, especially when it got to the hippie era. Everyone was starting to dabble away from
It
certain...
kind of blended in, didn't it?
Yeah,
And
it
with
did.
the paths
That's
and
it. It
everything
kind
like
of
that.
merged. That's it. So yeah, I have lost my train of thought. Where was we going with this? See, this is what happens. I digress. This is why I have to have my bullet points. Yes. So, and then from the 1970s, people started to, there was books and literature released on how you can initiate yourself into your own coven, or if you want to be a solitary witch, how to work it yourself. And there are different types of witches, and obviously that I'll go into as well. Wicca's popularity, because it spread so quickly, so vastly, especially over in the Western cultures, you started to see in the 1990s and 1980s films starting to come about. The producers started to jump on the bandwagons of films like The Craft, Practical Magic, and then later on in the 2000s, it was Sabrina the Teenage Witch, etc. So they started to, a lot of witches and Wiccans took quite an offence to those sort of films coming out, because it was almost like they were making it into an aesthetic. When it wasn't, a lot of people took it very seriously, their craft. They'd fought a long time to not have to hide in the shadows, to be able to publicly display their craft, or, you know, worship whoever they wanted to worship. But there were others who saw it as a positive and saw it as bringing awareness and trying to encourage people to...
I was going to say, it brings it to everybody else, doesn't it? And gets more interest in it.
Exactly. I mean, personally, I thoroughly enjoyed the films. The Craft and Practical Magic are probably two of my favourite films. And whenever I'm losing motivation, or I feel like I'm not, you know, I don't fancy going in, because I've got like my altar behind me. You see my altar, my big altar. Whenever I'm feeling a bit disconnected from the world, I'll put that sort of film on, and it sort of gives me that little bit of a bump, and back I am doing me magical working. So I quite like them. So it was amazing that what was once an evil taboo subject, you know, 30, 40 years prior, suddenly it was changing to be the done thing. And a lot of people started this movement and become more into the craft.
I find it interesting that, like, all the witchcraft up until, you know, Gardner, really, it was all a bit more hidden and stuff, and you know, people look down on it. Whereas you got the people in high society on the occult side who were, you know, having, like, you know, being all these posh rich people doing fairly similar-ish kind of thing, but just on a different level.
Exactly.
And then it's just like it took so long for witchcraft to be more accepted.
Yes, it is strange, and I suppose we won't understand fully why that was the case. Possibly something to do with the fact that Abrahamic. Yeah. But I know we're
all the men, wasn't it, on the occult side, with their societies looking into the occult practices, whereas the like witchcraft was more seen as feminine.
Yes.
Men pushing us aside.
Wondering will I put Bewitched was the earliest for me. I'm showing my age now. Yes, I remember Bewitched. Did they start to wiggle their nose or something, and then something would have, I can't remember. That was a bit early.
I remember watching the reruns like on Channel 4 or something, like 6 o'clock in the morning. Like that.
So yeah, a lot of our traditions that we follow, and this crosses more into the witchcraft side of it, come from, as I said, the pagan origins, which is pre-Christian. The Sabbats that we celebrate, when I go through them, you may recognise people in the comments who have not been, you know, have never heard or know much about Wicca. You might recognise them from some of the Christian celebrations, and that's a lot of it where it was based from the pagan origins. So we have what I said was the Sabbats, which is the main celebrations, and we also have the Esbats as well, and they are normally celebrated. They're less commonly celebrated as much as the Sabbats, but the Esbats are normally celebrated during the full moons, so it's always to do with the cycles, but the Sabbats are the main ones that a lot of Wiccans Sorry, I'm reading the comments at the same time, trying to multitask. So that's what a lot of the Wiccans or witches follow. So we've got Yule, which is celebrating the 21st and 22nd of December. Yule being Christmas. Then we have Imbolc, which we have not long had, which is the 1st and 2nd of February. Can I ask, let me put the, I need to learn to do this. Can I ask, what do you think of the fact that the new modern Wicca has everyone separated, like baby Wiccan and Gardenarian Wiccans? Personally, I don't like the fact that, I mean, people can call themselves baby witches and what have you, but I feel like it's quite a derogatory term in some ways.
It annoys me so much. Yeah, it annoys me so much. Then it's baby witch to baby shark now.
Everyone starts at somewhere in their path. It doesn't mean they're any less important than somebody who's been doing the craft for 30, 40 years. That's just at the point they were drawn to it, and we welcome them to learn about it. That's fine. I just don't like the term baby witch. I do find a lot of it goes through eras, I've noticed. And with the re-release of the newer craft, sorry, my candle was just making a really funny noise. That was really weird. With the release of the newer craft, it kind of brought out this.
Oh, she's frozen. Do we have
my back.
interference?
There we go. It brought this aesthetic.
We can hear
you.
Am I back? Oh, yeah, there you are. I was going to say your screen is still frozen.
Can you all hear me?
I think you're back now.
Oh, this is so weird. Let me go on to. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Perfect. That was ever so weird. Literally, just with the candle started crackling like a funny noise, and then my signal completely went.
Hello.
But the Wi-Fi was full. That was weird. Okay. So yes, so with the new age of this new film and with the craft remake, it's brought out a lot of the teenagers and stuff with the aesthetic, but they're not really knowing what that aesthetic, the history and the origins behind it. And it takes a lot of it away from people who do practice witchcraft or who do follow Wiccan traditions or any form of witchcraft. So yeah, we were going through the different Sabbats. So we have Imbolc, which I said was the 1st to the 2nd of February. Then we have Ostara, which is more commonly known in the, you may have known it as Easter, and that is the 19th and 20th of March. Beltane, also known as May Day, and I will go into the May Day one, that a lot of people don't realise. You see people in little towns and villages, I think more now, with the May Day pole. A lot of people don't realise that pole has a specific origin, and it does have pagan origins. And the pole represented a certain male body part, that's all I shall say. And it was traditionally women, I'm trying to word it so it's completely family friendly, shall we say. The pole, yes, was a male body part, and it was traditionally women who hadn't come of age who would go around the pole with the cords and the wire, but not the wire, the cords and the banners, and it would be to represent fertility and to, I'll leave the rest to your imagination. So that's where it originated from, and that was where May Day come from, Beltane. Then we've got Letha, which are the 20th and the 21st of June. Then the next one, which I can never pronounce because it has so many different pronunciations, Luftlasnad. That was a really bad pronunciation. Google it. I know what it is, but I can't pronounce it.
Right.
And that's
or something.
And that's the first of August.
I'll ask my friend at work because she's Irish, and so she's like quite good with these pronunciations.
Yes, that's it. That's what we need. The Maybon, which is the 22nd and the 23rd of September. Samhain, some people pronounce it as Samhain. The Celtic is Samhain, which is the 31st. Say again?
I said, and we slap them. They pronounce it as Samhain.
Yeah.
That's down to Supernatural mainly, because Supernatural decided they were going to call one of their guys Samhain.
Yeah.
And so it's just kind of like, yeah, I know it's kind of spelled like that as well, but no.
Yeah, it doesn't help, especially if somebody's dyslexic and they're really struggling, and then you tell them it's something completely different. It's not the easiest.
That's the problem with these old words. They're so hard.
Yeah. And Samhain is Halloween. And it's a thinning of the veil where it's easier to contact with spirits. Spirits get easier crossover to communicate with us. But I will go into that in different shows, because the history of Samhain is a fascinating one. You could do a whole show just on that, really. And in the southern hemisphere, many Wiccans will switch the dates to ensure the Sabbats fit with the local seasonal cycle. So the dates might differ. So always make sure if you're going to Google, double check that it is for the right hemisphere of where you live for when you celebrate it. So the Wiccans and witches. I did say that there were different types of witches. So you've got a coven-based witch. I am part of the coven. A few of the members are in the chat. I can see. Hi guys.
You got the followers.
So the coven-based
it's nice to come to support.
It is nice. Then you've got solitary witches, which I was for quite a while, and they are witches that work completely on their own. Some people prefer that. If I didn't know my coven guys really, really well, I would be a solitary witch, because I don't like people. I much prefer animals and the dead. I love working with the dead. I don't like people, the living, and I love animals. So yes, I would have been a solitary witch if I hadn't have met them. Then you have hereditary witches, which again is a term that I'm not so keen on, because it doesn't matter whichever path that you're in, kind of, you know, it's okay to be whatever you are. And I have come across people who are very like, well, I'm a 7th generational witch. That's absolutely fine.
Does it make themselves? No offense to anyone that's watching, but some of them really are. Like you're on the groups on Facebook, and they kind of look down on other people. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, I am, but I don't go bragging about it, because everyone has got their own path. It doesn't matter if you're hereditary or if you've just come into it fresh.
Exactly.
No one is better than anybody else.
Exactly. And that's the important thing to remember. Wherever stage you are in your craft, if you come across somebody who claims to know everything there is, steer clear, because it doesn't matter if you're a hereditary rich 7th generation or 9, there is always something new to learn from somebody. So anybody you come across, it's important to appreciate what they've got to say in whatever stage they are in their craft. Then you've got crystal witches, who predominantly work with crystals. Cosmic witches, which is the astrology. The grey witch, they work with both light and dark. Eclectic witch, they'd like to be a bit of everything, and that's absolutely fine. Kitchen witches, a lot of people are naturally kitchen witches without even realising it. If you had grandparents who would cook soups and things like that, or certain religions, I know they'll say like sing songs or something while they're stirring their food, and they don't realise that's actually a form of witchcraft. Green witches, nature witches, there's absolutely loads. And again, I could go through that on another show. Wild Bill says, just like in the paranormal, there are no experts. Exactly that. Kate says, so what kind of spells do you do on a daily basis? What's it like, the day in the life of a Wiccan? On a good day, because I have very up and down days, on a good day, the most important thing is cleansing, protection, grounding. Meditation for me is a big thing. Make sure I'm grounded and connected, and staying humble as well, I think is an important thing. There are certain things I do see on Facebook or TikTok or whatever, you know, form of social media you're on, and I do think, but I don't say anything because it's not my circus, not my monkeys, whatever the phrase is, you know, keep out of it. But yeah, protection circles, I do look a bit like the weirdo. We have got a Ring doorbell, and the first of the month I'm out there blowing cinnamon through my front door, and that's been caught on Ring a few times. That's quite embarrassing. I will walk around the garden cleansing the land with my cauldron. We did have an incident because my house is full of witchy stuff, but it's more everything has a purpose, everything has a reason that it's in the home. I have a besom at the front door, which is I made myself with the help of my husband, which is a broomstick, in case anybody knows. And we had a takeaway guy come. This was January, it's not long ago, and he said, "Oh, you still got your Halloween stuff out?" I thought, the cheek of it, the cheek. This is out all year round. Oh,
You didn't get a tip then.
No, he didn't get a tip. We've had a few instances of problems like that. We had one guy come, and I normally take the food, shut the door and walk off, but for some reason this one time I took the food, shut the door, and something said, "Just watch what he's doing." And he got halfway down the drive, turned around and took a picture, because I've got quite a few bits in the porch.
Yeah.
I thought, that's not right. And it got me thinking. I didn't confront him because I'm not really a confrontational person, but it got me thinking, if you'd have asked me what these items are, I'd have willingly told you.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to, wherever that picture went, I don't know. But yeah, protection, grounding. I do other spells as well, depending on what is needed. So yeah, but I will do a show on spell work. I can do demonstrations if anybody is interested in any of that. I could do like a group protection. I don't know if anybody, or that's allowed, I don't know.
Why not?
And the last bit I want to touch upon, because obviously it's just a general thing.
Can I just, before we move on, sorry, because Jim's put an interesting comment up.
Okay.
Say about male witches had a rough time once upon a time, I'm sure. What are your thoughts on the males?
That's a very good question. Male witches, I think, yes, they did have a very rough time. And I do think they still do to this day, to be honest. There is very much a stereotypical view that witch equals female. And it's not. Witch is a multi-gender, it could be male or female. There were more cases, if we go back to the witch trials, it was mostly women and a few children that had the torture and were killed for it. Because at the time, men weren't seen as the ones who could have this ability or have this power, albeit now we know it's completely for any gender. So yeah, I don't know if you think anything differently.
Yeah, like you said, that there's still a bit of a thing like, oh, some people men can't be witches, men have to be called like warlocks or wizards, and like a warlock is something that's a bit different, because isn't that like, if I remember rightly, sort of a bad person, what you call them, like back in the day. Yeah, so they were, you wouldn't really want to be a warlock. So why can't they be a witch?
It was seen as a derogatory term. I mean, the term Wicca itself actually translates to witch. That's what the name stands for. But yes, I'm just conscious of time as well, and I will waffle all night, so I'm trying to. So the only other thing I wanted to touch on today is the other part of the Wiccan belief, is what happens when you die. Now, in Wicca, we believe that we go to a place, a lot of Wiccans believe, and there are numerous ideas on this, depending on what you've been taught or raised or what have you. But the predominant belief is that you go to a place called Summerland. And it's a bit like, if you imagine a beautiful field with water and sort of a really nice place. It's neither good nor bad. It doesn't have a specific title, should we say. And what happens is, when you pass and your soul leaves your body, you go to Summerland and you are greeted by your spirit guides, and you look back and reflect on the life that you've lived. So if there's lessons to be learnt, you would be reincarnated. So say, for example, to make it simple, if you were a very wealthy individual, who never appreciated the value of money and looked down upon people who didn't have as much money, you would look back on that life, and then you'd be reincarnated as somebody probably who struggles for money financially, to learn that lesson. And once you've learned all the lessons, when you go to Summerland, you then become almost a guide yourself to welcome other people going through their journey. And that's what the Wiccan belief is on the Summerland, of when you pass. I mean, I don't like to think that when you die, that's it. Having spoken to and worked with spirit myself, I kind of know that there is a follow-on. There has been shows on people that have passed away and then been brought back to life. They've had like a short span where they've died temporarily, and they have mentioned that they have seen these sort of things. How true they are, we don't know. But yes, Annette Summerland. Yeah.
See you later, Warbill.
Peace and light. Bless you. You sound like my daughter. She likes to refer to Hogwarts very often. Yeah, Hogwarts. Oh, what am I doing here? No, there we go. Yeah, Hogwarts brought another run of the witchcraft back into it. So yeah, that is the basic, very, very basics of witchcraft and Wicca. I hope you've learnt something, anybody who's listening. I hope it's been interesting. Does anybody have any questions?
We've got loads of questions.
Have we? Have I missed?
Let me just scroll up a second.
I clearly can't multitask, can I?
Oh, you're all right. You've had them coming in. Don't worry, we can go through questions after. Yeah. So Kate put, that's really interesting. What can I put on my front door for protection? I live in an apartment block, so it'll be inside.
If you are happy using pentagrams, pentacles, anything like that, that is, you can put that above your door. Bigger items such as besoms, such as the broomsticks, like I've said, that's absolutely fine as well. Traditionally, what they used to say, you'd have your broomstick by your front door, and if it fell over, it meant you were about to have an unwanted visitor. Mine's permanently attached to the wall because I don't like visitors. I don't want people coming, so it's I'm joking. I have quite a dark sense of humour. Yeah. But the other things you can do is, if you have a doormat, you can put black witchy salt under your doormat. And black witchy salt, all it is really is salt mixed with, if you burn incense sticks and the dust from that, mix that with some salt. That's basically all it is. You can make moon water during a full moon, and splash that at your front door. There's lots of things that you can have. You can make little spell jars, which are really tiny, and leave them hidden. If you don't want people to know that that's what you want to do, you can leave them hidden in the corners of your doors for protection. And there's certain items that you put in there that represent or would benefit for the protection. Yeah.
Got another question about health spells.
House spells, yeah, we can do house spells. So I don't want to go into too much tonight, but with the candles, each colour represents a certain aspect of magic. So each one would represent what we want to bring in. For example, green would be for if you want abundance or money or prosperity. White a white candle, if you don't have a different coloured candle, can be used to replace any of the other candles. Black is not, it's actually very good for protection, removing anything negative. Yellow to bring in happiness, calming. They all have different things. So if you wanted one for health, I would use a blue candle, and you would do a specific spell with that blue candle, with certain crystals, certain herbs, and that's how you would do a health spell. But yes, I hope that answers that question. But I will go into details when we do like spell shows.
Yeah, it'll be good. It'll definitely be good. Just go through some general comments now.
I have found on some of the witch groups, they're not interested if you want to start from the basics. And that's a shame. I have seen that. I'm in quite a few of the witch groups on Facebook myself. I don't really comment much on them. I do have to hold my tongue a lot of the time. As I said, there are witches out there who will look down on people who are new to the craft, especially if you're not a hereditary witch or anything like that. So, you know, it's important to respect. And I welcome, if anybody wants to learn about Wicca and witchcraft, I'd welcome them with open arms, you know, and help teach them.
I've got one with a question: where did Summerland derive from?
Summerland came from, there was, now let me get this correct because I don't want to give you the wrong information. During the pre-Christian pagan traditions and the origins, I'm sure it was during, I need to double check with this one and I will come back to you on the next session, but I'm pretty sure it was during, actually, there was a group of pagans who were doing, Ben's creeping in. Do you know the answer, Ben? Oh, he's put his witch's hat on. Please, go on.
Go on.
If you looked at all the ancient religions that were going on at the time, when what you class as Celtic paganism,
Yeah.
when obviously you go back beyond Christian belief, they all have the same description of the same place, and it is a well-known name. You call it Summerland.
H.
The Greeks and the Romans called it Elysium.
Yeah. Is it the heaven similarity?
No, it's the afterlife. It's the fields, the golden fields between the worlds.
Yeah.
Fields of Elysium. Even the Nordic belief have it. Everyone seems to have their
own version. Yeah. And it's fascinating that there's so many of these versions. They all are very similar. I like how Ben slowly disappears off screen again. As a transition. But yeah, I think it's fascinating that all of them, from different parts of the world, different traditions, different religions, they all have a very similar concept of it. So there's got to be some sort of truth in it.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
That says really interesting.
You're very welcome, Jeanette. Oh, Sue. Yeah, she's another Coven member. Bless her. Hi, Sue.
What else we got? Kate, well, thanks so much.
Okay.
Oh dear.
Always up for learning. That's brilliant. Yes, the Valhalla.
They also call it Valhalla.
They
That's a bit
do.
different, isn't it, though?
Valhalla is a different. Valhalla is the halls beyond the fields. Fields are mentioned quite a lot.
Is it still like that? Because I'm not too sure on the Viking and Norse side. Is that similar to Summerland? Then is it the Valhalla, or is it completely different?
Well, Valhalla, it's where the fallen warriors go that have died in battle. They get taken there by the Valkyries, and it's basically like, you spend all your day fighting, battle over and over again, and then in the evening and night you drink and feast. Oh,
I quite like that theory.
I like the drinking and the feasting. I won't like to be fighting all day. Fighting and dying over and over again. No.
The Rainbow Bridge passes through the fields and over the fields of Elysium.
Oh, fascinating. So is that where the Rainbow Bridge theory comes for the pets? Is that sort of a connection in that way? I thought so.
When you look to all the old religions, they're all intertwined.
Yeah, they are. When you look into them, I have studied a few more of the Abrahamic religions, but I have respect for all of them. I if anybody wants to worship whatever, as long as it's not bothering me, then people can do whatever they want, and that's fine.
She'll disappear again.
Got from Kate. Funny. Then I will miss my daughter and husband. Won't I see them again?
Somebody asked.
Necessarily get reincarnated like straight away.
No, it's how, from the spirit that I have communicated with, they aren't limited to time like we are. So it's very different time dimension here than what it is up in spirit world or spirit realms. And somebody did ask me this a few weeks ago. Now, where have you, like, everybody has said it, you've come across somebody that you've met in the street and you've just got this connection. I feel like I've known them for years and years and years. There's a potential that could have been a relative in a past life, and that's why you've got that deja vu feeling, that you know them from somewhere, but you can't put your finger on it, or you feel like you've known them for ages and you've only known them for 10 minutes. That's sometimes how we do meet people, but that goes on to like past life regressions and stuff like that, again, that we will cover. So your chances are you probably will see them, but not in the aspect with reincarnation that you're thinking.
And Jeanette, I keep hearing music box music on and off. No music here. You got music over there?
Yes, there's like calming music just to keep me sane.
That'll be what she's picking up then.
Yeah, it's our blessings, Mark. Thank you.
Another nice one here.
Oh, that's my sister.
Aw.
Blessings,
What we got?
Linda. Any more questions?
Ooh, here we go. Aren't you worried witchcraft is going to get into the wrong hands if you teach anyone your works?
Good question. Now, the Book of Shadows, I will quickly show you my Book of Shadows. Very, very quickly. I won't go into it. I will show you it. Now, this, oh God, it is big. This is my Book of Shadows. A lot of witches or Wiccans will use a Book of Shadows. And the reason why it's called a Book of Shadows is because it was kept hidden from people to be seen. Because if it did get into the wrong hands or anything like that, a lot of people would put protection spells on them. So if it did get into the wrong hands, it couldn't be used in a negative way or anything like that. But when it comes to the threefold law, if you're teaching somebody and you teach them everything that you know in the good sense or the grey sense or whatever you want to work with, it is then up to that person where they want to take it. We've done what we can by teaching them. If they want to take it to a different aspect or a darker side, that's up to them. Everyone's got free will. So if I was teaching anybody and they chose to take it to that side, that wouldn't be a concern of mine, because personally I would have taught them everything that I know on the good side of stuff, or the right hand path side of witchcraft, and it'd be up to them if they wanted to take it in a different way. And I wouldn't think any less of them, to be honest.
What else we got? Oh, another nice comment.
Many blessings, can't wait to learn more. Amazing teacher. Oh, bless you, thank you. I can see my husband in the comments as well. I think you'll see them again because your souls choose to be together again. That's what my grandmother used to say. That's a nice way of looking at it. That is a nice way of looking at it.
Yeah, Kate agrees.
Now watch out for questions for Kate.
She's old.
Really
Yes, look forward to the next show.
Good. That's my husband. Hi, babe.
Oh, yeah.
When do you know if you're being contacted by a bad spirit or a good spirit, and how do you approach the situation? Ben and Lou will probably say something. Everybody, if you communicate with spirit, everybody has their own different ways of feeling spirit, seeing spirit. That's where all the clair, audio, sentience, all those sort of things come into it. I have seen spirit. How I have worked with it is when, if a spirit wants to be seen, they will show themselves to me, and I've seen them. There's been evidence. My sister's in the comments. I can't disclose because obviously it was a confidential situation. I had to go to somebody's house, but I have seen numerous spirits. I get, for those that don't want to be seen, it's almost like the thoughts don't become my own thoughts. That's the only way I can explain it. I get like visions. I will hear. I will get smells, really strong smells. Even in my own home, I will smell really strong cigarette smoke. We don't smoke in the house at all. But yeah, there's different ways that if you're sensitive to spirit, lots of people will have experiences in different ways.
Yeah.
The bad spirits and the good spirits, it's just, it's very hard. I have been on the board, because we do Ouija boards and what have you, not in my own house, might I add. Some of the bad spirits will try to pose as good spirits. So that's when your intuition comes into play. I just get a gut feeling. I'll give you a very quick example. Are we okay for 2-second time, Louis?
Yeah, of course, you're fine.
Okay. I'll give you a really quick example. I was with my coven, and we were doing on the board, and there was a baby or a child that proclaimed to come through. My hackles were instantly straight up. I was thinking, something just not right here. Something's not right. And then it started to play about, be a bit mischievous, and then our high priest said, "You're not a child, are you?" And it literally flew no, it was quite aggressive, and it suddenly just flipped. So you have to be really, really careful. Sometimes it's really, really hard. Sometimes they make it very obvious. Sometimes it's much harder to pick up. But that's when your intuition comes into play.
Definitely. Oh, hang on. There we go. Thank you for answering.
Welcome.
Yeah, it's going great.
Thank you.
And then,
Some play with you to see how much you know. Yeah.
yeah. Oh, hang on. Another long-time follower. Hi, Christina. Hope you're okay. Nice for you to join us.
The one thing I would say is if people are going to delve into spirit communication, always make sure you know what you are doing before you step into it. I think that's the, make sure you know how to close what you need to.
Yeah.
I don't know if you'd agree, Lou.
Yeah, it's all right knowing how to open the door, but you need to know how to shut it afterwards.
Exactly.
Get rid of any unwanted guests.
Yeah, 100%. I don't know if you guys are the same, so forgive me, but what we always say as well is if you're going to try and communicate with spirit, don't do it under the influence of alcohol or drugs either. It's lets you guard down a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Any more questions, guys? And what are you doing on your next show anyway, which is going to be in 2 weeks' time?
Oh, I think the next one, if people would like to learn more about protection, I think I could do a show on protection. So we could make some little protection jars. I'll show you what needs to go in them, how to bless them, how to cast a circle, how to close a circle, and how to call in the four corners. I think would, if that's all right for you guys.
It's your show.
I don't know. I don't know what's allowed. I don't want to get banned or anything. That was the quickest show in history. She was gone in 24 hours later and never to be seen again.
Who's back?
If I can still talk on the show, you're fine.
Okay. I love this transition. He needs like a smoke entrance and then a smoke exit. That's what he needs.
He doesn't need any more drama about him. He loves it.
Please, can we have the shopping list beforehand so I can get everything? Yeah, absolutely fine. And the good thing about witchcraft and Wicca is you don't need to go out and buy expensive items or anything. Everything you need, really, you can find in nature, other than crystals, unless you live, near a beach or near a cave or anything like that. It's going to be pretty hard. But you can get them quite cheap if you live near a little shop that sells them. But I will do a list for you all.
Are you a jar hoarder as well?
Where's that? Are you just asking me in general?
No, it's just me. It's just me asking. Do you hoard jars, like the spice pots and stuff?
Yes. I don't know if you probably can't see, but on my altar there's jars, coffee jars that I couldn't get the label off fully, so I've had to just scrub the best as I could. I use anything. You can upcycle.
Yeah. I found it using bicarb of soda and oil, and just really rub it.
Oh, to get rid of the sticky?
Yeah. Use rubber gloves, otherwise you end up rubbing the skin off your thumb. But yeah, a bit of bicarb and oil. I just mix it all together, then just spread it over it, and then just give it a bit of a rub, and it'll get rid of it nice and clean.
What a cracking tip! There we go. My jars will be gleaming next show.
You see sparkling from here.
Yeah, and I can also touch on moon water as well. I need to check when the next full moon is.
That's me and Ben, we use that quite a bit over
moon
on
water's
our side of stuff. Yeah.
Moon water has more power than a lot of people realise.
So many uses.
So many uses. I drink it, I bathe in it. It's absolutely fantastic stuff.
Yeah.
And for protection as well. Any other questions?
Sue's looking forward to it.
Thank you.
That says more would be great. And Damon's laughing at jar hoarders.
It's so sad, isn't it? Of all the things to hoard, it's jars.
Yeah.
Okay, well. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's it for today's show. I hope everybody enjoyed it. I hope you've learned something new to those who are completely new to it. Really looking forward to the next show. Blessings to you as well, Von.
We've got another question. Just come up from Kate. What's your stance on sage?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a very controversial question at the minute.
Yeah.
Here he comes back.
Oh no, he's back.
You really need the smoke entrance, Ben. Personally, now I might ruffle a few feathers here. I do use sage. Okay. There is this thing at the minute with it belonging to the Native Americans and what have you, using it and being a closed practice. However, sage has been used by a lot of different cultures and religions for many, many, many years. There are some who will say if you're going to use sage, to get it from an indigenous. However, now I could be wrong on this because I don't know the ins and outs. I believe it is only a specific type of sage that is, that is protected. And it's that particular sage that they are concerned about.
The white sage, isn't it? White
Yeah.
sage. There are other types of sage, like if Ben says, like if you're going to use sage, use wild sage, like a sage that you can easily grow in this country. Grow your own.
You could grow your own. I, believe it or not, all being a witch, I can't grow anything. I cannot grow anything. Even the weeds don't grow in my garden. They've given up and left home as well. I just don't have a green finger, so I'm definitely not a green witch. Definitely. Mother Nature runs when I go near it. But you can grow it. It is quite easy to grow, not for me, but it is easy to grow. But I've also found whenever I've done home cleansings, sometimes sage isn't the go-to answer because they don't respond to sage very well. I'm just saying that. I prefer to use Palo Santo, sound water, moon water, salt water. I prefer to use those ones. So it's not very often. Here he comes again.
She's safe, guys. She's safe.
But yeah, if you want to use it, I'm not too bothered, to be honest.
I think it depends on the purpose as well, because like some people will use it for more of a purification of the air, to which it has got great antibacterial properties. Not necessarily for cleansing homes of spirits, but for just cleansing the air in general.
It is, yeah. And like I said, it is a very good antibacterial. So you've had a cold or there's illness in the house, you know, burning that is fantastic. I've got it burning, but it's incense sticks at the minute. So it's still got the, you know, that behind it. But yeah, Palo Santo is my go-to. I love the smell of Palo Santo or holy wood, if whatever part of the world you're from.
Sage. Question from Val.
Can you recommend a good book for beginners? If you want to learn about Wicca, there are two books that are very, very good. There is one called Wikipedia. It's a take on the website, whatever that is. And there's the Witch's Bible. So those are two good books, and I've read both of those books. I can actually bring them out for the next show. But everything in there that I've researched is you have to be very careful. Some things out there, especially on Google, aren't always as accurate.
Witch's Bible, it does have a lot of references like to it, like where it's actually got these things from. Because I've got upstairs as well.
It's a good book, isn't it? It's really good, and the fact that they reference where they've got that information from is fantastic.
Yeah, that makes it more like credible, really, doesn't it? Because it's got the backing there behind what they're saying.
Exactly. Yeah. Anything else?
Great with roast turkey. It's all about sage.
Sage and onion. Oh, I love stuffing. Absolutely love. I just love food in general. I digress. Let's do the next question. Let's go. I'll be talking about cheese and no time. I love cheese. I am growing my own sage. Oh, Dave. Yeah, Dave is growing numerous things. Their garden is like a witch's treasure trove. The amount of stuff, and they are very green fingered, really, really good with plants and what have you. Sage.
And then you might not have heard of this because you're quite new to the other dimension. Sage Rage Rampage, Ben and Damon. Yeah, because they're on this mission against people who use sage to kind of do all the spiritual cleansings.
Oh,
Or the like,
okay.
cleansing of demonic entities. We're like, it doesn't work. Sage Rage Rampage. He was trying to get a hashtag going for ages for it.
Sage
Yeah.
against demonic entities does not work. It merely
No.
just like catnip to them.
Yeah.
He's even got it on a hoodie.
Oh, okay. There is also as well I could do on the next show is how to cleanse your home properly, because the amount of times people that do it and they don't even open a single window, and any spirits probably there going in circles thinking I don't know where to go. I don't, because you know anyway. Yeah.
Oh my god. We got Palo Santo here too, and Dragon's Blood.
Dragon's blood. Yeah, I do like dragon's blood.
Oh, there's an interesting comment. Witches here in Argentina are trying not to use Palo Santo because they're deforesting a lot to get it. Oh, didn't know.
Wow. No, I didn't know about that one either.
We only
I
get
suppose
half information over here in England. We heard about the White Sage, not heard about the Palo Santo though.
I bet we will.
Might have to look into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kate had no idea either.
No, that is a new one.
Oh, Bonso's got the Witch's Bible for birthday. I've not read it yet.
Oh,
So,
yes,
you
no,
got
you need to crack it open. It's brilliant. Bedtime reading.
The quick question. What do you think about Wicca by Scott Cunningham?
Scott Cunningham. I'm not going to lie, I haven't come across his name.
No.
Is he an
Might have to
author?
might have to look it up for next time because we're about come to the end of the show.
Yeah.
We got quite a few comments still up there. Kate, it is part of the merch. It is there.
Page. That's a brilliant one.
Yeah. So that's gone really quick.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me on, guys.
No, thank you for coming on.
Much
It's gonna be a
appreciated.
regular thing. Should be good.
Yes, every 2 weeks, and I will pop on a list. If anybody does want to take part and join in on the next show, it can be a bit of a hands-on experience where you get to learn. So I'll give you a list of things that you're going to need if you want to take part, or you can just sit and watch. That's fine.
Yeah.
Okie dokie. Emmy, I'll have to watch this again. Do you have any social media to follow you or to be in contact? Sorry if you already said it. Let me just put that there. I am on Facebook. I do have a website as well called The Witch's Closet, where I do all homemade, soy, vegan, animal cruelty free wax melts, candles, hidden crystal candles. But every one of my items that I make, all are handmade by me. They're all blessed with manifestations for protection, positivity, abundance. So when it's melted in your home, it will release that and bring that to you. Because with magic, and Lou will agree, intention is the key to magic. You are the magic, not all the tools that come with it. They're just things to amplify your magic.
Yeah, but if you've got any other questions, feel free to send them to the page and we can pass them on easy enough.
Message the page. And then, because I don't want to forget, upcoming shows. I said I'll do this. So on Sunday we have Kate. I think it was the Kate that was in earlier. Is that right?
Yeah, she's in comments. Yeah.
She's going to be doing occultology, history, and science. Is that with Damon? Was it? Or you guys?
That's with Damon. Yeah.
Okay. There's going to be a show on Friday as well. What was the title of that one?
With Spectrum Paranormal.
That's it. That's on Friday. And then on Saturday, the guys are going out on an investigation. So that'll be good to watch. And I'll be tuning in to watch that as well. So that'll be really cool. Yeah. So, thank you, everybody. Thank you for watching. And if you're watching in the future on record, thank you for your time as well. But thank you, Lou, for joining me on the first one.
All right. And I'll just say that anyone who's watching this back on replay, if you have got any questions that you would like answered, just pop a comment and just put #replay and then put your comment in and we'll get back to you.
Perfect, thank you. Thank you, Lou, for your support, and thank you, Ben, for the transitions in and out. That was entertaining.
No, it's been fun.
I hope you all have a lovely evening. Yeah, and blessings to you all. Thanks,
Okay.
guys.
Okay,
Take care.
thanks.
Bye.
Bye.